Hi, I'm Bill Hurst at Highland Hill Farm, and today I'm going to tell you about an unusual delivery we made to Eureka Springs, Arkansas. From the Philadelphia area to Eureka Springs. It's quite a drive. It's 1,200 miles. Someone wanted 100 of these cherry laurels, and today I'm going to tell you the story of the delivery of 100 cherry laurels to Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
So this is exactly what you see here now, as we're going to use in the tying up of the plants.
Okay, show them how you cut the lengths and what lengths you made for the trip going to Arkansas.
Well, they're about 4 foot long.
Cut one up so they see what you did. Can you cut one up to show them how you did it?
Well,
all right.
I didn't tie the knot, so
okay.
Just take it like that. There you are.
Okay, and that's what my father did. My father's only 89. That was his job, to prepare the ropes for this shipment. Thank you, Don.
Okay. After Don cut the ropes, we put a loop in the end of it like this. Then the crew took the piece of rope, tied it around, slipped the end through the knot, through that loop, and then we pull the branches in. We pull it in just snug enough so that the branches won't break and they don't take up as much room. Then we would loop it around.
Now this is where the story gets interesting. Marge leaves and she's driving, and after the second day, when she realized she was going to get to Eureka Springs early, she called me to have me call Robert, the person who was getting the cherry laurels, make sure he knew that she would be a couple hours early. So she gave me the phone number and I proceeded to call Robert. However, somehow the phone numbers got mixed up and wasn't the right number. So I did a search on the web email address that I originally received from Robert, which was in his girlfriend's name, and checked that for a telephone number and didn't find any. So then I did a web search on that name and that email address, and I did come up with a number that was fairly close to the one that Marge had given me, and I realized that we just had transposed numbers. So what I did then was I called that number, but it just got a recording. So now, knowing that she'd be a little early, I was hesitant to just let it stop at that, so I figured, well, I'll find him. It's just a small town. I could probably find him in town because there's probably nowhere else to shop. So what I did was I did a internet search on Eureka Springs, and what I did was I did a search on websites that I saw that were created by this client of ours and his girlfriend. And I figured one of the people in town that he did the website for would probably know him pretty well and be able to tell me where he was. So I started calling all these different businesses that had websites, and on the last one that I was calling, the man says to me, he says, he says, Robert was in here this morning. It was the New Delhi Cafe and Patio or something like that. And he says to me, he says, you're getting some trees and shrubs? And I said, yeah. And I said, my wife's on her way down. And I said, she's going to be early, so I wanted to make sure I let Robert know. He says, well, let me look out front, because his scooter was out there, because he was in town this morning. I'll see if his scooter's still there. So he goes out front and he says to me, he says, yep, the scooter's here. I said, well, could you put a note on it? And he says, okay, sure. So he puts this note on it. Well, I thank him very much, and we hang up. Well, about 15 minutes later, I get a call from Robert, and he says, Bill, I understand your wife's going to be a little early. I said, yeah, Robert, you're in town, aren't you? And he says, yeah, how'd you know? I said, you're right at number 2 Broad Street, aren't you? And he says, hey, how'd you know that? And I said, your little scooter's right out front, isn't it? And he says, yeah, how'd you know that? And I said, well, just take a walk over to your scooter if you would for a minute. He walks over to his scooter, and by golly, he sees a note on there. He says, there's a note on there. I said, yeah, that's my note to you. I said, just to let you know, my wife's going to be a little early. And now he's all confounded. Like, how did I find out he was in Eureka Springs? How did I know where he was, being that I'm in Pennsylvania? So I finally told him the guy in the New Delhi Cafe, said he put the note there and said he'd seen him earlier in the day. So, with that, we got Marge down there, and she delivered the trees and showed him how to hook up the water kit, because she also took him a water kit, and had a few extra free plants for him. And so that's our trip to Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and the New Delhi Cafe, and how they helped us find our client in the middle of Arkansas. Thank you very much.
One more time to the
Highland Hill Farm is located on Route 313 in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, about 2 miles west of Doylestown. Our street address is 5275 West Swamp Road, which is Route 313. We're open 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. 7 days a week. We have a wide selection of trees and shrubs. We have trees up to 4-inch caliper and arborvitaes up to about 14 foot tall. We can deliver and plant for you, and we can deliver all over the East Coast, and we service areas from Georgia to Tennessee up to Detroit, Michigan, and also into Boston, New York City, Washington, D.C. corridors. So just give us a call at 215-651-8329. Again, that's 215-651-8329 for your trees and shrubs.